Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Essential Zodiac Podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia McNulty.
And I'm Audrey Fannin with Muddy Creek Studios.
Today, we are going to talk about the Gemini new moon. This new moon will be on the 30th, so you have some time to contemplate the new moon. A new moon is a good time for beginnings, to start something new. Gemini is the sign of the twins. It's an air sign, so that means it's cerebral. It's a thinking type of sign. Gemini energy is infamous for looking at both sides of the coin, making an argument for each side of the pro or the con. So it's very important that we have clear goals in mind when we deal with Gemini energy, or we'll find our energies scattered all over the place. Now, this lunation occurs shortly after Mars and Jupiter align. Now, Jupiter is in Aries, as I mentioned last podcast, and we're feeling ready to do something. We want a new something. Maybe it's a new business. Even maybe you want to move to a different house. So you feel energized, but you're going to have a lot of ideas and energy coming at you. Like I said, if you don't sit down and put everything in perspective as what you can do and what you can't do. You also may find you're feeling one way, like your heart is ruling your head, and all that ends up is in confusion. So make a plan and stick to it, no matter how tempting it is to want to try everything. And if something doesn't work, that's okay. You do have another thing to try. So, you have your list and tackle things one thing at a time so that you don't feel overwhelmed.
So we're still in the spring, and it's so nice that every month you have a chance to, start something new with a new moon, and especially right here in the season of spring. So it's like we're getting a double dose.
Exactly. I always feel more energy during the spring. You sat around all winter, you didn't get a chance to do much. And now, the weather's beautiful, the sun is shining, so you do feel energized. You want to go out and plant a garden or start something new. And the zodiac follows the seasons. I mean, that's how it started out. It follows the seasons. So it's not as accurate as it was 4,000 years ago, but there is definitely a correlation between what's happening on the earth and what's happening in the sky. So, it's no accident that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac starts spring. The spring equinox is Aries, gets everything moving. And then you go along, and then you come to, the summer season where Cancer starts everything growing and it stabilizes, because you can't have all the Aries energy coming at you. Nothing will get accomplished. It's great for starting, but you need the stability of the fixed signs to keep things rooted and flourishing. And then for the fall, you have the fall equinox, the autumn equinox. And that's now things are starting to slow down. We're beginning the harvest season. We're getting our gardens, we're picking the last of the fruits, getting our gardens ready for the fallow period. And we have all that energy of removal, getting things ready in anticipation of winter. which is marked by Capricorn, and the winter solstice. And now it's a time of rest. We can't, if you look at it, you've had your growing season and now your harvest, and now it's time to rest. You did your work. You got things accomplished. You did your work. So now it's a time to reflect. How did my year go? How did things go? Go inside yourself and decide, what are my goals for next year? And, it's a time of research and reflection. So, yeah, it's very interesting. And when we follow, for myself, I will say for me, when I follow that cycle from spring to winter, I feel attuned. Everything doesn't always go according to plan because that's life, and we're going to have bumps and obstacles along the way. But I always feel at the end of the year that I accomplished something. And I always set a goal or two, depending on how complicated they might be. I always set a goal in the winter. This podcast I decided to do in the winter. I contemplated it. I thought about it. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to go for it. And that's why I started it in April with the spring energy at my back, and we could move forward. So great question, Audrey. I kind of went rambling on, but that was a great question.
No, that's cool. That was a great overview.
Yeah.
So I've got another one for you.
Sure, shoot.
So a moment ago, you mentioned that it's less accurate today than it was, say, 4,000 years ago.
Right.
And I'm guessing that's because we have the stars drift, and also because we've got climate change.
Well, I will say, like, the shift in the stars and all happened before, like, climate change. The constellations are constantly moving. So nothing is in the same place. The constellations are not in the same place they were. They're close, but they're not exact like they were when astrology was first born, if you would. Climate change now has done a lot of damage, but in the sky, the constellations are still there. They're just in a little different spots, but they're still close enough that we follow that cycle.
So the stars are still, the seasons are still there, but how we experience the seasons, like spring might start sooner or extend
yes,
later
that
into
is
the fall.
true. That is true. I see where you're going. Yes, unfortunately, I was watching a show recently about people in Alaska. It was on the National Geographic channel. And these folks, there was a series of them, lived in and around the Arctic Circle. So there wasn't, they were basically by themselves, anything. Fairbanks was like the closest city, and that was like 500 miles away. You had to take a plane to get there. But they, these folks subsisted on what they could hunt and what they could get from the forest when it was spring and summer. Because, it does, the snow does thaw, and the rivers are revealed, after all the ice melts and things like that. So they still can catch fish and all that, but they were making comments about how there should be more caribou. Caribou was one of their main protein sources. How the lakes and the fields, how the snow and ice is melting sooner than it should. And that causes trouble with trying to get from one place to another. Mostly their means of transportation were dog sleds or snowmobiles. And, there's issues with both of those means of transportation when, everything has been changed. The dogs are very smart. I was very impressed. But, they don't want to go in the water because they don't know how deep is this. So they've been very well trained that, you stay on the ground and you move the sled that way. So, and it wasn't like they were making a political statement. They were just saying to the film crew, I don't know if we're going to get caribou today because they're normally here and they're not here. And of course, this is impacting severely on their food sources. So in that way, yes, climate change is a big deal. The seasons are not what they used to be. I mean, I can even remember as a kid, spring seemed to last longer. Now it seems we're in winter. We have like a nanosecond of spring, and then it's summer, and we're all like sweating to death. And then you have a nanosecond of fall, and we're in the deep freeze. So that is making it very hard. If you follow the seasons for your livelihood, it's definitely a problem.
All right, thanks.
No problem.
If you like what you're hearing, consider contributing to Cynthia's page on Patreon. For those of you that have, thank you so much. Cynthia's vision for Essential Zodiac podcast is to provide valuable and reliable information on a variety of topics related to astrology. To name a few, new and full moons, important monthly transits, and unique astrological happenings. By supporting her through Patreon, you'll allow her to record new episodes consistently, as well as to continue to improve the quality of the podcast and expand the scope of what she's doing. While the podcast will always remain free, there are some benefits for contributing through Patreon. Check it out and see the goodies that she's offering. Now let's see what this moon looks like for the signs.
Yeah, let's do a little bit of horoscope here. These are based on your solar sign, your sun sign. If you want more customization or depth, you can always get in contact with me and we can talk about that on my website, www.essentialzodiac.com. But we'll start off with Aries, as we always do. So Aries, you're doing things your own way, as you like to do. But right now, the more responsible choice might be to take your cues from what's happening around you. So kind of read the room. As frustrating as it can be, try to find the freedom in this forced flexibility. You never know what you're going to discover. Now, Taurus, if resources seem in short supply, it could be that you're leaving some valuable assets like your energy, time, knowledge, and skills out of the equation. At this new moon, look for creative ways to pool these resources with others in your community. And Gemini, this is your moon. So this is the time for you to shine, Gemini. Write a new chapter in your story. It's a new beginnings, go for it. So you'll finally get a chance to resolve the differences between your true character and the one you've been playing all along. So now's the time to be true to yourself. Cancer. Not all of the answers are out there. Some of them can only be found within. Right now, those are the kinds of questions you're most interested in asking. Think of the wisdom you've acquired so far as just the beginning of a deeper exploration. And Leo, it's all about connections. And this new moon finds you reaching out for new ones. Just be aware that the people who seem like they have the most to offer in terms of money, status, success, aren't always the best ones to befriend. That is very true. Leos, we like to trust everybody. We always look for like the best in everybody. So sometimes it comes back at you. Virgo, the student has become the master. You've learned all you can from your current teacher, and now it's time to move on. Now it's time for you to make your own mark. At this point, whomever or whatever you've been seeing as an authority figure has got nothing on your own authority and experience.
Wow. Cheers to you, Virgo.
Yes, right? Coming into your own. Libra, idealized images are lovely to look at, but after a while, those daydreams of perfection can make your real life lose its luster. Instead of escaping to a fantasy world, at this moon, look for ways to incorporate elements of it into actual reality. It's the old story of the grass always looking greener, and we know that that's not a case always. It's an illusion because nothing is perfect. As much as we'd like to believe it is, it's not. And the old saying, if everybody put their problems inside a basket, we would take back our own. So, all that glitters is not gold, as they say. Scorpio, let's get it all out in the open. From fantasies to fear, at this new moon, no topic is not taboo as long as you're going there with someone you love and trust. Just don't forget to bring your sense of humor along for the ride. Sagittarius, however well you know someone, people can be full of surprises. Any chances there's someone in your life right now whom you only know about half as well as you think you do? At this new moon, be open to seeing their other side. Now, Capricorn, my hard-working Capricorns. Work might be serious business, but there's no reason it has to be boring. In fact, the more fun you have on the job, the more productive you're likely to be. Trust me, Capricorn, you can have fun and work hard at the same time. It's probably better for your stress level, too. At this new moon, look for clever new ways to mix business and pleasure. Aquarius, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. With so many different flavors to sample, why limit yourself to just one? And with so many ingenious ideas to express, why limit yourself to only one creative outlook? This new moon encourages experimentation. You like to think outside the box, Aquarius. This is your moon to do exactly that. Now, Pisces. It's been said that life is a tragedy for those who feel and a comedy for those who think. Whether or not you agree, at this new moon, there are insights to be gained by viewing your emotions from the perspective of a detached and amused observer. Now, I know that's hard, Pisces, because you feel everything. That's your watery nature. But give it a chance. Give it a chance. And finally, we're going to do something fun. I have a Astro Oracle. It's an Astro and Tarot deck combined. It's a lot of fun, and I use it for divination. There's information on my website all about Astro-Tarot readings. So I picked a card, and I was very surprised. It came as Gemini. The card that was revealed was Gemini, which I thought extremely appropriate. So I picked another card to get some insight, and that's the first house. So Gemini in the first house for you. So let's talk about that, and we'll see how that goes. So Gemini, where Gemini is located in the deck, this indicates the place that supports your need to be the messenger. So express yourself. Communicate, teach, write, gather, and distribute information and ideas. Now it says the first house as well. Now the houses of your natal chart represent different pieces of your life. The first house represents you. It's the house of self. It's all about you. And so where the first house is in the deck here indicates where you need to start now. Put yourself and your interests first. This is a time of action and new beginnings. So there you go. You have to speak up and put yourself first. Where are you giving up your power? Where are you, keeping your mouth shut because you think it's the right thing to do and it's only causing you grief? So now that we have our new moon, now's the time to make those changes. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thank you for listening. And until next time, remember, with astrology, you can chart your life's course. Thank you.
Be sure to join us in 2 weeks for another episode of the Essential Zodiac podcast. On June 10th, it's a full moon in Sagittarius. Be sure to visit Cynthia's website, essentialzodiac.com. Look into Cynthia's current promotions, like the Happy Birthday offer with a discount on your solar return chart. You can find Essential Zodiac on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It's all one word, Essential Zodiac. The Essential Zodiac podcast is produced at Muddy Creek Studios.